The jungle was alive with sound. Birds cried from the treetops, insects buzzed in the air, and leaves shook whenever a hidden creature moved. The heat pressed down like a heavy blanket, making the air thick and hard to breathe. Aaron wiped the sweat from his forehead and pushed aside a low branch. Behind him, his small team followed slowly, tired from the long walk. Aaron had led many trips before, but this one felt different. The old map he carried was strange, copied from an explorer's notebook more than 100 years ago. It spoke of a pyramid hidden under the jungle floor, a place no one had ever found. Most thought it was a story made up to impress readers, but Aaron believed there was truth in it. He was not a dreamer without reason. He had studied the markings in that notebook for years, and the signs all pointed here, deep in the wild forest where few people came. Myra, the youngest of the group, stopped to take a drink of water. She looked at Aaron and asked in a quiet voice, "Do you really think we will find it?" Aaron gave a short nod. "Yes. I can feel it. This jungle hides many things. What we seek is here." Behind her, Raffi, a strong man with a careful mind, gave a small laugh. "I hope your feeling is right. We could have stayed home in comfort. Instead we fight bugs, heat, and snakes." Still, he kept walking, because deep down even Raffi was curious. Why would anyone build a pyramid here, far from great rivers and cities? The question pushed them onward. Hours passed as they moved through thick vines and tall roots. The ground was uneven, sometimes soft with mud, other times hard with rock. Aaron kept looking at the compass in his hand, checking the direction. When they reached a clearing, he stopped. Something caught his eye. On the far side of the clearing stood a cluster of moss-covered stones. At first, they seemed like nothing more than part of the jungle. But as Aaron brushed away leaves, shapes appeared on the surface. "Look," he called to the others. They gathered around. The stone was carved with lines that curved like rivers but met at sharp corners, forming symbols. The carvings were not random. They were too even, too perfect, and though the years had worn them down, the marks still glowed faintly in the dim light. Myra touched the stone and pulled back quickly. "It feels warm," she whispered. Raffi leaned closer. "Impossible. This is just old rock." Yet even he saw the faint glow, as if the stone held a secret fire deep within. Aaron's heart beat faster. He recognized some of the patterns. They were like the symbols he had studied in the old notebook. He whispered to himself, "We are close." The team searched the clearing, brushing aside ferns and vines. Soon they found more stones, half buried in the soil. Together, they formed a rough circle. In the center, the ground was different, less firm, almost hollow when stepped upon. Aaron knelt and pressed his ear to the earth. He thought he heard a distant echo, as if space lay beneath them. "There is something below," he said. Myra's eyes grew wide. "Do you think it is the pyramid?" "Not just the pyramid," Aaron answered, "but its entrance." They set to work clearing the ground. With machetes they cut roots, with hands they dragged away soil. Slowly, the shape of a flat stone slab came into view. Across its surface ran the same glowing carvings, brighter than those on the standing stones. Raffi frowned. "This looks more like a door than a floor." As if to answer him, the ground trembled slightly under their feet. The carvings glowed brighter, casting pale blue light into the clearing. The air grew colder, though no wind stirred the trees. Myra stepped back. "Did we wake something?" Aaron placed his hand on the slab. The tremble stopped, and the light dimmed but did not fade. He spoke firmly, though his voice carried a note of wonder. "This is not just stone. It is waiting." They camped at the edge of the clearing that night, too tired to continue digging but too curious to leave. The jungle around them sang its usual chorus, but somehow it felt different. The cries of the birds were sharper, the rustle of the trees louder. The explorers kept glancing toward the glowing slab in the clearing, which shone faintly even in the darkness. As the fire crackled, Myra asked softly, "Why would anyone build this here? And why hide it so well?" Aaron looked into the flames before answering. "If what the notebook said is true, this pyramid is not like the ones we know. It was built for another purpose. Not for kings, not for tombs. Something else." Raffi leaned forward. "Do you mean it is older than the pyramids we know? Older than the cities we read about in history?" Aaron nodded slowly. "Yes. Older than all of them. Built not to honor the dead but to guide the living." The fire burned low, and the night grew heavy. The team tried to rest, but each of them woke again and again, turning toward the faint glow of the stone. They felt both fear and excitement, like children standing at the edge of a great secret. Before dawn, Aaron rose and walked alone to the slab. He knelt, running his fingers over the symbols. In the cool silence of the morning, he whispered, "Why were you hidden? Who placed you here?" The stone gave no answer, but deep within, a soft hum rose for a moment, then faded again. Aaron stood and looked toward the jungle canopy, now turning gold with the first light of the sun. He felt sure of one thing. This was only the beginning. The ground beneath them held more than stone and carvings. It held the story of something greater than they could yet imagine. And so, with the sun rising and the jungle waking around them, Aaron called his team to prepare. The time had come to open the path below. The morning sun rose slowly over the jungle, spreading golden light through the trees. Mist clung to the leaves, and the cries of birds echoed across the clearing. Aaron stood near the strange stone slab they had uncovered the day before. It still glowed faintly, as if holding the memory of the night inside it. Myra and Raffi joined him, yawning from broken sleep. They had rested little, their dreams filled with thoughts of the hidden pyramid below. Aaron's voice was steady, but his eyes carried the weight of what they were about to do. "Today we go down," he said. "The slab is the entrance. We only need to find how it opens." Raffi crossed his arms. "It looks solid. Even with tools, it may take days to break through." Aaron shook his head. "This was not made to be broken. It was made to be opened. We must look for the way." The team searched carefully. Myra brushed dirt from the carvings and followed their lines with her fingers. Raffi knocked on the stone in different places, listening for hollow sound. Aaron studied the glowing symbols, recalling the sketches he had seen in the old notebook. Then, suddenly, Myra called out, "Here! Look at this one." On the corner of the slab was a spiral shape, brighter than the others. When Myra pressed it lightly, the lines on the stone flickered and spread, as though alive. Raffi stepped back. "What did you do?" Before anyone could answer, the ground trembled. The slab shifted with a low grinding sound, rising slightly before sliding aside. Beneath it, a dark opening yawned, exhaling air that smelled of earth, metal, and something unknown. The faint hum that Aaron had heard the night before now grew louder, filling the clearing with a steady pulse. Myra gasped. "It is real. The pyramid is below us." Aaron felt a surge of both fear and excitement. He lit a lantern and looked into the passage. The stairway beneath stretched into shadow, each step made of the same smooth stone, untouched by age or weather. Unlike the jungle above, nothing here was broken or worn. It was as if time itself had not entered this place. "Take your packs," Aaron said firmly. "We are going in." The descent began. Their lanterns threw soft circles of light on the walls. Carvings covered the stone, more detailed than those outside. Some showed shapes of stars, others lines like rivers of light. As they moved deeper, the air grew cooler, yet strangely charged, as though the very walls breathed around them. Myra whispered, "It feels alive." Raffi muttered, "Alive or not, I do not like it." But he kept walking, his hand close to his knife though no threat appeared. Step after step carried them away from the surface world. Soon the sounds of the jungle were gone, replaced only by the echo of their boots and the soft hum that grew stronger the deeper they went. After what felt like an endless walk, the stairway ended at a great archway. Beyond it stretched a vast hall. The explorers stopped in awe. The ceiling rose high above them, supported by walls of stone fused with gleaming metal. Light seemed to come from the carvings themselves, glowing softly without fire or wire. "It is like a temple," Myra breathed. Aaron shook his head. "Not a temple. Something else. Look at the walls. The carvings here were not of gods or kings but of machines, stars, and shapes that no human hand had ever drawn. Some looked like great ships sailing through space. Others showed tall figures holding spheres of light." Raffi frowned. "This is not the work of any people we know. No one in history built like this." Aaron's voice was low but certain. "That is why we are here. This place was not meant to be found by all. Only when the time was right." They walked across the hall. Their steps echoed, yet the sound felt small inside such vast space. At the far end stood another doorway, sealed by a smooth wall of metal. In its center was a round panel with the same spiral shape Myra had pressed above. She stepped forward slowly. "Do I touch it again?" Aaron nodded. "Yes. Whatever built this wants us to follow." Myra pressed her hand to the spiral. The panel glowed, then slid open with a soft hiss. A new chamber lay beyond. Inside, the air was cooler still, but there was no dust, no sign of age. Rows of strange devices lined the walls, their shapes unfamiliar. Some looked like long tubes, others like wide panels of glass that glimmered faintly as if asleep. At the center of the chamber rose a pedestal with markings running down its sides. The hum grew stronger here, vibrating through their bodies. Myra placed her hand on the pedestal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the markings flared with bright light, and the devices along the walls awoke. Panels glowed, shapes flickered across their surfaces, and soft tones filled the chamber like voices speaking in another language. The team froze, hardly daring to breathe. "What is happening?" Raffi asked, his eyes wide. Aaron stared at the lights, his voice steady though filled with awe. "It is waking. This place has been waiting." On one of the panels, images began to appear. Not words, but pictures. A map of stars spread across the surface, points of light connected by glowing lines. Some points pulsed, while others faded. Myra reached out as if to touch them, but Aaron held her back. "Careful. We must watch first." The images shifted. They saw shapes of tall figures walking among smaller ones, figures that looked human. The tall ones handed them tools, fire, and knowledge. Then the tall figures left, their ships rising into the stars. The smaller ones remained, building homes and fields, growing stronger. Myra whispered, "They came here long ago. They taught us." Raffi shook his head. "That cannot be. If it were true, why do we not know of them?" Aaron's gaze never left the glowing panel. "Because it was not yet time to remember. Until now." The chamber fell silent again as the images faded, leaving only the soft glow of the markings. Aaron stepped back, his mind racing. He had dreamed of finding a lost pyramid, but he now understood this was far more. They were standing in a place built not by forgotten kings but by visitors from the stars. And the deeper they went, the greater the secrets they would uncover. Aaron turned to his team. "We will go on. But we must be careful. This is not just discovery. This is a test." Myra and Raffi exchanged uneasy looks, but they both nodded. The path was set. With lanterns in hand and courage in their hearts, the three explorers stepped further into the silent pyramid beneath the jungle floor, ready to face whatever waited in the dark. White heavy check mark. That's 1000 words. Part 2, The Descent, writ. The chamber's silence was heavy, broken only by the low hum that filled the walls. Aaron stood still, staring at the glowing pedestal. He felt a strange pull, as if the place was calling to him. Myra's hands trembled slightly as she held her lantern. Raffi shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting from one glowing device to another. None of them spoke for several minutes. They had entered a place untouched for countless years, and now it was awake because of them. At last, Aaron said, "This is no ruin. It was never abandoned. It has been waiting." Raffi frowned. Waiting for what? Or for who? Aaron's gaze moved over the glowing walls. For us. Or for someone like us. Myra's eyes widened. You mean it was built for humans? But the pictures showed others. Aaron nodded. Yes. Others who were not from this world. They came long ago. They must have left this behind, knowing one day we would be ready to find it. As if answering his words, the pedestal pulsed with light. Lines spread across the floor, weaving outward like streams of blue fire. The glow reached the walls, and the carvings shifted. The explorers gasped as the images came alive, no longer still carvings but moving like living pictures. The walls showed stars swirling in great patterns, vast ships flying among them, and planets glowing with light. Then the scene changed to a jungle, green and alive, much like the one above. From the sky descended shining figures, tall and graceful, their bodies made of light. They touched the ground, and the jungle bowed before them. Myra whispered, "It is telling us a story." The figures on the wall bent down toward smaller shapes, human shapes. They gave them fire, taught them to carve stone, and showed them how to plant seeds in the ground. The humans grew stronger, building homes and tools, while the shining figures watched. Then, one by one, the figures rose back into the sky, leaving behind the humans who now stood on their own. The glowing images faded, replaced by stillness once again. The hum deepened, and suddenly the air itself seemed to change. From the pedestal rose a column of light, swirling and solid at the same time. It stretched upward like a figure being formed. Myra gasped and stepped back, nearly dropping her lantern. Raffi drew his knife, though he knew it would be useless. Aaron stood his ground, staring as the shape took form. The light grew taller, until it stood like a giant man made of stars. Its features were not sharp but soft and shifting, a face without eyes yet filled with presence. The figure was neither solid nor ghostly. It was something in between, like thought given shape. When it spoke, the sound shook the floor and echoed in their bones. The voice was deep, yet clear, carrying weight beyond human measure. "You have come," the figure said. Myra's voice was small. "What are you?" The figure turned its faceless head toward her. "I am the guardian. I am the memory left by those who came before. I wait for those who seek the truth." Aaron stepped forward slowly. "Why us? Why now?" The figure's form pulsed with light. "Because you are ready. Long have your kind grown, from fire to stone, from tools to knowledge. The time has come to take the next step. But first, you must be tested." Raffi tightened his grip on his knife. "Tested? What kind of test?" The figure spread its hands, and the chamber shifted. The walls melted into darkness, and the floor beneath them rippled like water. Suddenly, the explorers stood in a wide hall filled with floating stones. Each stone glowed faintly, and between them stretched deep gaps that seemed endless. Myra gasped, clutching Aaron's arm. "Where are we?" Aaron steadied her. "It is not real. It is part of the test." The guardian's voice echoed all around them. "This is the trial of unity. The path ahead cannot be crossed alone. Only by trust and balance can you reach the other side." Across the hall, far away, they could see another doorway glowing with light. The only way forward was to step across the floating stones, some stable, some shifting. Aaron looked at his team. We do this together. Watch each other. Move carefully. He stepped onto the first stone. It wobbled slightly, but held. Myra followed, then Raffi. Step by step, they moved across the glowing path. Some stones sank when touched, others floated higher. At one point, Myra slipped, her foot sliding into the empty space. She cried out, but Aaron grabbed her hand quickly, pulling her back. The guardian's voice filled the air. Strength is nothing without care. Knowledge is nothing without trust. They pressed on. Raffi nearly fell when one stone spun beneath him, but Myra steadied him with both hands. Aaron guided them, choosing the path carefully, never rushing. Finally, breathless and sweating, they reached the far side. As they stepped into the glowing doorway, the hall of stones vanished. They were back in the chamber before the pedestal, as if nothing had changed. The guardian stood before them again. Its light was brighter now, its voice louder. You have passed the first test. Together you held, and together you reached. Remember this, for what lies ahead will demand more. Raffi wiped his brow. How many tests are there? The guardian's light pulsed. As many as needed. For knowledge without wisdom is danger, and power without unity is ruin. Myra looked at the figure with both fear and wonder. And if we pass them all? Then, said the guardian, you shall see what was left for you. The gift, and the choice that follows. The pedestal dimmed, and the hum grew softer, though the air still thrummed with hidden energy. Aaron felt both relief and weight pressing on him. They had passed the first trial, but more waited. He turned to his team. We go forward. We cannot turn back now. This place was not built to be feared. It was built to be understood. Raffi sighed but nodded. Myra's eyes shone with determination. The guardian faded slowly, leaving behind only the faint light of the chamber. Aaron stepped closer to the pedestal and placed his hand upon it. A new doorway opened in the wall, glowing with soft blue light. The path led deeper into the pyramid, where more secrets waited in silence. Aaron took a deep breath. This is the awakening. Not only of this place, but of us. We are meant to be here. With that, the three explorers stepped forward, leaving the chamber behind. The door closed silently behind them, sealing away the light. Ahead stretched another dark passage, the hum returning to guide their steps. And somewhere in the depths of the pyramid, more trials waited to test the strength of humanity. The new passage stretched deep into the darkness. The walls were smoother here, almost shining like polished glass, and the hum in the air grew louder with every step. Aaron walked in front, lantern raised high, his eyes sharp with focus. Myra followed close behind, her mind still filled with the memory of the guardian's glowing form. Raffi kept to the rear, his jaw tight, gripping his pack straps as if they might steady his nerves. The floor sloped downward, pulling them farther away from the world above. After some time, the narrow passage opened into a wide chamber. The explorers stopped at the edge, staring in silence. The chamber was unlike anything they had seen so far. The floor was made of shining tiles that pulsed with faint blue light. Around the edges stood tall pillars carved with glowing symbols. Above them stretched a ceiling so high it seemed endless, filled with moving shapes of stars and galaxies. It was as if they were standing beneath the night sky, though they were far underground. At the center of the chamber floated another figure of light. It was smaller than the guardian, but more solid, its shape clear and human-like. Its head turned slowly toward them, and its voice filled the hall. You have entered the chamber of the test, it said. Here you will be measured not by strength of body, but by strength of heart and mind. Myra's voice trembled. What do we have to do? The figure raised its hand. At once, the glowing tiles on the floor shifted. They formed patterns, breaking apart into paths and shapes. In the center appeared 3 glowing orbs, each floating in the air, each a different color, red, green, and blue. The figure spoke again. Each orb holds a challenge. One is of memory, one is of courage, and one is of unity. All must be faced, for only those who complete them may go forward. Raffi frowned. Why 3? The figure's light pulsed. Because you are 3. Each must step forward, yet all are bound together. If one fails, all fail. Aaron exchanged glances with Myra and Raffi. He felt the weight of the words. This was no small game. Whatever the test was, it mattered deeply to this place. I will take the first, Aaron said firmly. If it is memory, I will face it. Myra stepped forward bravely. Then I will take courage. Raffi sighed, knowing what was left for him. And I will take unity. The guardian figure nodded. So it shall be. The orbs floated toward them, each stopping before one of the explorers. Aaron reached for the blue orb. The moment his hand touched it, the chamber vanished. He stood in a small room filled with carvings. Symbols covered every wall, shifting and glowing. A voice echoed inside his mind. Remember. The symbols began to move, rearranging themselves into long patterns of stars and lines. For a moment, Aaron felt dizzy, but then he steadied himself. He had studied old maps, he had spent years following strange signs through the jungle. His mind was trained for patterns. One by one, he traced the lines with his hand, matching the stars into constellations. The walls changed as he worked, testing his memory, forcing him to recall which shapes belonged together. Sweat ran down his face, but he did not give up. At last, the walls stilled, and the stars formed one great picture of a shining pyramid. The voice whispered, "You have remembered." Then the light pulled him back. Aaron opened his eyes and found himself once more in the chamber. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths, but the blue orb was gone. Myra and Raffi were still locked in their own trials. Myra stood before the red orb. When her hand touched it, fire sprang up around her. She gasped as the heat washed over her, but the flames did not burn her skin. They formed walls, tall and closing in. A narrow path stretched ahead, but shadows moved within it. A voice filled the fiery hall. Do you have the courage to walk forward when fear surrounds you? Myra's hands shook, but she clenched them into fists. Step by step, she walked the path. From the shadows came shapes: snakes, wolves, and tall, faceless figures. Each time one leapt toward her, she flinched, but when she did not turn back, the shadow dissolved into smoke. Her breath came fast, her body wanted to run, but she forced herself onward. At last, the flames parted, and the path cleared. The voice spoke softly. You have walked with courage. The fire vanished, and she was pulled back into the chamber. Now only Raffi remained. The green orb floated before him. He hesitated, then touched it. At once, he found himself standing on a high bridge made of light. Below him stretched endless darkness. Across the bridge, 2 figures stood, Aaron and Myra, though their forms flickered like illusions. The voice spoke. Unity is more than walking together. It is knowing when to hold, when to trust, and when to follow. The bridge shook as cracks formed beneath his feet. Ahead, the illusions of Aaron and Myra cried out, reaching for him. Raffi's chest tightened. He had always been cautious, sometimes too cautious, but now he had to choose. He ran forward, the bridge trembling. The closer he came, the more the figures pulled away, as if testing his will. At the final moment, the bridge broke behind him. He leapt with all his strength, catching the hands of the illusions. For an instant, he feared they were not real. Then they held him firmly, pulling him onto solid ground. The voice said, You chose trust, and unity held. Raffi blinked, and the illusion dissolved. He was back in the chamber, panting hard. The green orb was gone. The Guardian's figure shone brighter now. You have passed the tests of memory, courage, and unity. Together you proved what alone you could not. The path is open. The pillars around the chamber lit up one by one, and at the far end a great doorway opened, glowing with white light. Myra smiled with relief. We did it. Raffi shook his head slowly, still catching his breath. I thought I would fall. Aaron looked at them both, pride and wonder in his eyes. We did not fall, because we held together. That is what this place wanted to see. The Guardian raised its hand. Beyond this door lies the truth. But remember, truth is not gift alone. It is weight. Be ready to carry it. The figure faded away, leaving only the open doorway and the soft hum of the chamber. Aaron turned to his team. This was only the test. What comes next will be greater still. With steady steps, the three explorers walked toward the doorway. The light swallowed them as they passed through, leaving behind the chamber of trials. Ahead lay the deeper heart of the pyramid, where the truth of the ancient builders awaited. The light from the doorway wrapped around Aaron, Myra, and Raffi as they stepped through. For a moment their vision blurred, as if they were walking not through stone but through a curtain of shining air. Then the brightness faded, and they found themselves standing in a chamber unlike any they had seen before. The walls were not stone, nor metal, but something smooth and translucent, like crystal alive with soft colors. Shapes moved slowly across the surface, patterns of stars, flowing rivers of light, and strange symbols that shifted as if alive. The ceiling was high and curved, glowing faintly as if holding its own sky. In the center of the chamber rose a great structure, part pedestal and part sphere. It floated slightly above the floor, spinning slowly, filled with light that changed from blue to gold to green. The hum they had heard throughout the pyramid was strongest here, vibrating in their bones, yet not painful. It felt like the steady beat of a heart. Myra's eyes widened. What is this place? Raffi shook his head slowly, whispering, this cannot be made by human hands. Aaron walked forward with steady steps, his gaze fixed on the glowing sphere. This is the heart. The place where the truth waits. As if in answer, the air shimmered. The Guardian appeared again, taller now, brighter than before, its form more human yet still filled with light. Its voice carried through the chamber with a deep echo. You have passed the trials. Now you may see what was hidden. This is the vault of memory. Here lies the truth of your kind. Myra's voice trembled. Our kind. The Guardian nodded. Humans. The ones who walk the earth above. With a wave of its hand, the chamber changed. The glowing walls became windows, showing visions of another time. The explorers gasped as they saw a world both familiar and strange. A wide plain stretched under a young sky. Early humans walked there, dressed in simple skins, carrying sharp stones. They built small fires, hunted with spears, and painted shapes on cave walls. Then, from the sky, great ships descended. They shone like silver, larger than mountains, and their light turned night into day. From those ships stepped tall figures of radiant form. Their bodies glowed faintly, not of fire but of pure energy, shaped like men and women yet taller and more graceful. They walked among the early humans, who fell to the ground in awe. The tall figures lifted them up, showing them fire, showing them how to shape stone into blades, how to plant seeds in soil. They did not rule over them but guided them, teaching step by step. Aaron whispered, the stories of gods. Myra nodded slowly. But they were not gods. They were travelers. The Guardian's voice filled the hall. Yes. We came from the stars, from worlds far beyond. We were not here to command, but to guide. We saw in you something rare, something even we did not carry. The visions shifted. Now the humans were stronger. They made huts, they painted rivers and stars on cave walls, they learned to share food. The glowing visitors stood beside them, watching. Then, slowly, the visitors began to leave. They returned to their ships, rising into the sky. Myra frowned. Why did they go? The guardian answered. Because you had to walk on your own. We gave the first spark, but the fire had to be yours. If we stayed, you would never grow into what you were meant to become. The vision faded, leaving only the glowing sphere in the center of the chamber. Raffi spoke softly, still struggling to believe. So we are not alone. We never were. The guardian's form pulsed with light. You were never alone, but you were always meant to become more than you were. Humanity was chosen because of one gift stronger than any tool, the will to endure. Through hunger, storm, war, and loss, you rise again. This is what makes you different. Aaron stepped closer to the sphere. And this place? Why hide it? Why bury it beneath the jungle? The guardian turned its faceless head toward him. Because truth must wait for the right time. Long ago, we built many vaults across your world. Each one sealed, hidden, waiting for those strong enough to find them. If opened too soon, the knowledge inside would destroy. If opened too late, it would be lost. But you have come now, and the time is right. The explorers stood in silence, the weight of those words pressing on them. Humanity had been guided, not by gods but by travelers from distant stars. And now, the truth was being given back. Myra's voice broke the silence. What is inside the sphere? The guardian raised its hand. The sphere slowed, glowing brighter, its colors weaving into a pattern of stars. This holds knowledge. The wisdom of the ones who came before. Power to heal, to build, to travel beyond your world. It is the gift left for you, but it is also a burden. With it, you may raise your people higher than ever before. But with it, you may also fall if you use it without care. Raffi muttered, it sounds like both treasure and danger. Yes, the guardian said. Because choice is the test no one else can take for you. We can guide, but only humans can decide what humans will do. Aaron's heart pounded as he stared at the glowing sphere. He had dreamed of finding lost ruins, forgotten civilizations, great mysteries of the past. But this was more than he had ever imagined. He felt both fear and pride, as if the weight of the entire world now rested on his shoulders. Myra stepped to his side. Her eyes were wide, but her voice was firm. We cannot keep this to ourselves. This is for all people, not just for us. Raffi frowned. But if the wrong hands take it, it will destroy instead of help. We must be careful. The guardian lowered its arms. Your words show why you were chosen. You see both promise and danger. Remember this when the time comes. The truth is not a treasure to hide or a weapon to wield. It is a mirror, showing what you truly are. The sphere pulsed with a soft heartbeat of light, as if waiting. Aaron spoke slowly. We are ready to carry it. Not because we are perfect, but because we must try. The guardian's form began to fade, its voice growing softer. Then the truth is yours. Carry it well, for what begins here will shape not only your people, but all who live among the stars. The chamber fell silent once more. The guardian was gone, leaving only the three explorers and the sphere of light, glowing in the center of the room. Aaron, Myra, and Raffi stood together, their faces lit by its glow. They did not yet know how they would share this truth with the world, nor how others would react. But they knew one thing for certain, humanity was no longer the same. The truth had been given, and with it, the future had begun. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the glowing sphere at its center. Aaron, Myra, and Raffi circled it carefully, each step echoing lightly on the smooth floor. The air felt alive, as if the sphere itself was breathing with them. The weight of what they had just learned pressed on their minds. Humanity had been guided, helped from afar, and now the knowledge and power of the visitors lay before them. Myra stepped closer to the sphere, reaching out her hand. Light swirled around her fingers, warm and soft, as if the sphere was aware of her touch. "It feels alive," she whispered. Raffi frowned. "Alive or not, we must be careful. We do not know what it will do." Aaron knelt beside the sphere, his eyes scanning the shifting patterns of stars and symbols within. "It is more than alive. It is a gift. And with gifts come responsibility. We are the first to see this fully. We are the first to choose." The sphere pulsed brighter, and a voice echoed in the chamber, not from a figure, but inside their minds. "You have passed the trials. You have seen the truth. Now you are ready to receive the gift. It is not only knowledge but understanding, not only power but wisdom. Use it carefully." Myra drew back slightly. "Understanding? How can we carry all of it? It is so much." The sphere responded with light that flowed into their eyes like soft streams. Patterns formed inside their minds: blueprints, maps, ideas, and stories. They could see methods for energy that would never harm the earth, medicines that could cure disease, ways to travel far beyond their world. Each vision came not as words, but as understanding, embedding itself in their minds. Rafi's hands shook slightly as he reached out, letting the sphere's light touch him. He could see tools and machines that worked without fire or fuel, designs of cities that would last for centuries, and ways to grow food in deserts and cold lands. His chest tightened, not with fear but with awe. This is incredible," he whispered. "It can change everything." Aaron nodded slowly. "Yes. But we cannot take it lightly. The gift is not just what it gives, but what it asks from us. We must learn, we must plan, and we must guide others carefully." The sphere pulsed again, sending waves of light that filled the entire chamber. The walls shimmered with moving images of the past and future. They saw humanity in countless situations, struggling, learning, rising, and sometimes falling. They saw what could happen if the gift was used with greed or haste, and what could happen if it was used with care and wisdom. Myra took a deep breath. "It is not only a gift. It is a responsibility. Everything we do from now will matter more than ever." The voice inside their minds spoke again. "All knowledge can bring creation or destruction. You hold the choice. Use what you learn to lift your people, not to harm. Help them grow stronger, wiser, and kinder." Aaron reached out and touched the sphere fully. Waves of light flowed through him, and for a moment, he felt like he could see everything at once: the jungle above, the cities far away, the stars in the sky. He understood the patterns of life, the cycles of growth, the power of cooperation. He saw that humans had always been special, not because of strength alone, but because of the ability to learn, to create, and to care. Raffi and Myra felt the same. Knowledge flowed into them as understanding, and yet it was not heavy. It felt like a responsibility they were born to carry, a purpose that had waited for them their entire lives. The sphere's light grew softer, pulsing like a heartbeat. The voice spoke one last time. "The gift is now yours. Guard it, share it, and learn from it. Humanity has passed the trials. Now the choice is theirs. What they do next is the measure of their kind." Aaron stepped back, breathing slowly. He felt the weight of the gift and the weight of the world at the same time. "We have to be careful. We cannot rush. We must understand everything before we share it." Myra nodded. "And we have to teach others. Help them understand, not just the gift, but the responsibility that comes with it." Raffi frowned. "It will not be easy. People fear what they do not understand. They may fight or take it for themselves." Aaron looked at him steadily. "Then we must show them the right way. If humans are to reach the stars, to grow stronger, they must learn to work together. That is what this place has been waiting for. The chamber grew quiet. The sphere floated in the center, calm and steady, as if it were listening to them. The hum softened, a gentle rhythm, like the pulse of the earth itself. Myra stepped closer. "Do you think humanity is ready?" Aaron considered for a moment. "Not all of it. Not yet. But the spark is here. We are the first to carry it fully. And that is enough to start. One step, one choice, one action at a time." The sphere glowed brighter, responding to his words. It seemed to recognize the determination in their hearts. For a long moment, they stood together, feeling the hum, the light, and the power of the gift. Finally, Aaron turned to Myra and Rafi. "We cannot stay here forever. We must go back to the surface. The world above is waiting, and we are the first to guide it forward." Rafi nodded, determination replacing his earlier fear. "Then we take it carefully. Step by step. Not rushing, not hiding." Myra smiled softly. "We will make it right. For everyone." Aaron reached out one last time and touched the sphere. The light flowed into them, embedding itself fully in their minds. They felt understanding, hope, and the promise of what humanity could become. Then the sphere floated calmly in the center, its hum quiet but steady. The chamber began to change. Walls of crystal shimmered and slowly transformed into a tunnel of soft white light. The path back to the jungle appeared, leading upward. The gift had been given, and now it was time to return to the world above. As they walked, Aaron looked back at the sphere. "It will always be here, waiting for those ready. But now it is in our hands to guide humanity forward." Myra squeezed his hand. "We have to remember everything. Every lesson, every test, every choice." Rafi nodded. "And we have to be careful. The wrong steps could undo everything." Aaron took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and responsibility. "Then we start carefully, wisely, together. The gift is ours to carry, but it is also ours to share." The light grew brighter as they climbed. Soon, they were back near the jungle floor, the warm air of the outside world brushing against their skin. The pyramid had given them knowledge, understanding, and hope. But more than that, it had given them a choice. The choice to shape the future of humanity, to rise above fear, to use the gift for creation, not destruction. The jungle awaited. The world awaited. And the explorers knew that the greatest adventure had only just begun. The jungle was alive with morning light. Sunbeams pierced through the thick canopy, glinting on leaves wet with dew. Birds called to one another, and insects buzzed among flowers and vines. To anyone else, it was just another ordinary jungle. But for Aaron, Myra, and Rafi, it felt different. They had returned from the depths of the lost pyramid, carrying knowledge that could change the world. The stone slab that had once hidden the entrance now lay still, silent beneath moss and roots. The pyramid seemed to have returned to its resting state, waiting for the next humans worthy of its secrets. The explorers knew that few would ever believe their story, but that did not matter. They had seen the truth, they had received the gift, and they understood the responsibility it carried. Aaron led the team through the dense undergrowth, their backpacks light but their minds heavy with thought. "We cannot rush," he said. "The gift is not something we show to the world all at once. We must teach, guide, and prepare humanity step by step." Myra nodded. "We have to share what we learned carefully. People are not ready for everything yet, but they will be. We just need patience and wisdom." Rafi walked behind them, still deep in thought. "It is strange to think that humans have always had help, guidance from beyond, and we never knew. And now we carry it forward. That is a heavy responsibility." They reached a small river that wound through the jungle. Aaron knelt and touched the water, watching it ripple around his fingers. "This is where we begin," he said. Not with machines or stars, but here, with people. The gift starts with understanding, with cooperation and care. Myra smiled. It is a new beginning. For us and for everyone who comes after. Raffi shook his head slowly, still trying to take it all in. I never imagined that humans were chosen for something so great. It makes me feel proud and small at the same time. Aaron looked toward the horizon, where the jungle stretched for miles. That is the feeling of responsibility. We have power now, yes, but we also have the duty to use it wisely. This is what makes humans special. They walked in silence for a while, listening to the sounds of the jungle. Each step felt lighter than the last, yet the weight of the gift followed them, invisible but ever present. They understood that the choices they made now would ripple across generations. When they reached a small clearing, Aaron stopped. We need to record everything. Every test, every vision, every lesson. We must leave a guide for those who will follow. Myra pulled out a notebook and began to write, while Raffi sketched diagrams from memory of the chambers and the glowing symbols. Aaron watched them work, feeling a quiet sense of pride. The three of them, together, could preserve the knowledge and prepare the next steps. As they worked, Aaron glanced back toward the hidden pyramid. Its moss-covered stones reflected the sunlight faintly. The pyramid will remain, he said softly. It is patient. It waits for the right moment and the right people. Our job is to ensure humanity is ready when that time comes. Myra looked up from her writing. Do you think others will ever find it? Aaron nodded. Yes. One day. But they will only succeed if they are ready, as we were. It tests those who seek it. The pyramid is not a trap or a prize, it is a teacher. Raffi leaned against a tree, thinking. It is strange. We came looking for adventure, a lost story, and instead we found a responsibility bigger than ourselves. But I do not regret it. Neither do I, Myra said. We were chosen because we could carry it. That is what makes humans special. Not just curiosity, but courage, wisdom, and care for one another. Aaron closed his notebook and looked at both of them. We start with small things. We share what we can teach now. We build understanding, community, and cooperation. The gift is not just in the technology or knowledge, but in how humans grow together. That is our legacy. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the explorers began their journey back to civilization. They moved carefully through the jungle, carrying the secret of the pyramid and the light of the sphere in their minds. They knew that their lives had changed forever. They also knew that the world itself would change, but only if humanity learned to grow with the gift, not simply use it for power. Along the way, they discussed plans for teaching and sharing knowledge safely. They spoke of energy that could never harm the earth, of medicine to heal sickness, of ways to grow food and build cities wisely. They spoke of travel to distant lands and eventually to the stars, all guided by the lessons the pyramid had shown them. Myra paused at the edge of a clearing, looking at the distant mountains. We are the first step. One day, many more will follow. We must prepare them, not just for knowledge, but for responsibility. Raffi nodded. It feels like we are planting seeds. Small actions now, but one day, they will grow into forests of understanding. Aaron smiled. Exactly. And that is what the pyramid wanted. It did not test us for ourselves alone. It tested us to prepare humanity for the future. As they continued, the jungle slowly gave way to open land. Birds flew freely, streams sparkled in the sunlight, and the wind carried the scent of flowers and soil. The explorers felt a quiet joy, a sense of hope and purpose. When they reached a small village at the edge of the jungle, Aaron stopped. He looked at the people going about their day, children playing, farmers working, families talking. This is where it begins, he said softly. Not with stars or machines, but here, with people. The gift is ours to share wisely, and it begins with understanding each other. Myra smiled at him. We carry the knowledge, yes, but the real work is teaching, helping, guiding. That is what will change the world. Raffi looked at the villagers with a quiet determination. And we must remember what the pyramid taught us. Unity, courage, wisdom. That is the true power of humans. Aaron nodded. One step at a time. One choice at a time. And one day, humanity will rise higher than we ever imagined. That is the legacy of the lost pyramid beneath the jungle floor. The three of them stepped forward into the village, ready to begin the long journey of sharing the gift. The pyramid remained hidden behind them, silent and patient, waiting for the next generation to be ready. Above, the sun shone bright, reflecting in the eyes of the explorers. They were no longer the same as when they had entered the jungle. They carried knowledge, understanding, hope, and the responsibility to guide humanity. They were the first torchbearers of a new chapter. And as the wind blew through the trees and the jungle returned to quiet, the stars above seemed closer than ever. The story of the lost pyramid was no longer just a mystery, it was the beginning of humanity's greater journey among the stars. Aaron, Myra, and Raffi walked together, hearts steady, minds sharp, carrying the gift forward. The world awaited their guidance, and they would not fail. The legacy had begun.